This pattern is called the Summer Midge. It's a really wonderful pattern tied up by Makflies. If you've not seen Makflies tied before, any of the patterns, you really need to check it out. This pattern is just wonderful. It's unconventional, at least to me. I think you'll enjoy it. I had to tie it. So I've got myself a scud hook here in my vise. I've got a Killer Caddis clear bead on the front. On this pattern, it's pretty important that you tie it on a brass hook rather than a nickel or dark plated hook. And you can see I've got this pointed in a pretty aggressive downward facing trajectory. And we're going to reposition it as we go along. But we're going to start out with the black thread. That's kind of important. And the unconventional piece, one of them, is that we're going to start at the back end, right down deep into the bend. I'm going to take several wraps to secure my thread. And once I have that thread secured, I'm going to start taking open wraps of the black thread, moving up the shank of the hook until we're right behind that bead. I'll just take a couple of wraps there. Still holding on to that tag end, we'll just go ahead and come on in with our scissors, and I'm going to cut off the excess. At this point, I can go ahead and reposition this hook in my vise. I want to make the fly a little bit more durable and kind of make this pop a little more. I'm going to add a coat of thin UV resin. I want to make sure I get the top and the bottom covered, and the sides. I'll go ahead and make sure I've got that covered. Don't want a lot of excess on there either, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe my bodkin off. Kind of wipe it over just to make sure I've got that thinned out. Now I'm just going to go ahead and hit this with my UV torch. So that's one of the cool things about this pattern, right? We've got it started, and really we've done the entire abdomen here with a nice thin body, and it's all just with the shank of the hook and black thread. So now I'm going to take some poly, in this case white poly. I'm using some McFlylon. I'm going to use this to create a nice little wing bud coming up over the top of the fly. I'm just going to secure that to the top of my hook. A few thread wraps taking it up to behind the bead. Once I'm up about there, I'm going to go ahead and fold this back a little bit. Trim out that excess, then we'll just come forward with our thread. Get some of those to lay down a little bit better. And I'm going to come back to where I want a little thorax to be. For our thorax, we're just going to tie in a couple of peacock herls. So just get them started with a couple of thread wraps moving forward, and then I can just draw them back so I don't need to cut them off. Come back, so my first wrap will start right at the base of that Xylon wing. I'll bring my thread back up behind the bead. Go ahead and grab those two gingerly, just so I don't break them off, which I have a habit of doing. Make sure they don't hit that hook point, because that will also break them off. So I'll just take touching wraps with these two herls. And I'm moving forward until we're right up behind that bead. Once I've got that where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and take a wrap or two right over the top of those two peacock herls, securing them in place, and pull them backwards. Take a couple of wraps right behind the bead, and then we can come on in with our scissors and cut those off. Once those are properly disposed of, go ahead and grab our McFlylon. Going to take this right over the center, over the top of the bead. Take a wrap or two to get that secured right over that center point. Now fold it back a little bit. Take a couple of wraps right behind the bead. bring it forward again, and then I'm just going to give myself a little bit of extra thread. You know the drill. Grab our whip finisher. Make sure you seat that knot pretty good. Grab my thread cutter. From there, I'm just going to go ahead and grab that wing, and I'm going to measure it out. Just set my scissors right up against the eye of the hook here and cut it off. That's all there is to it. Really great, easy pattern. Interesting way to tie it. Always learning new things, which is a lot of fun. So give this one a shot. Grab yourself a hook and throw it in your vise.